Thank you to all my channel members, including my fan appreciation level members and my contributor level members, for helping support the YouTube channel.
Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I have my book review of the short story collection Tales from Jabba's Palace, edited by Kevin J. Anderson. This is a collection of 19 short stories set on Jabba's Palace, and this is the third of the Kevin J. Anderson short story novella collections that I've read now. So I've completed all of his. I started out reading Tales of the Mos Eisley Cantina, and I also started out reading Tales of the Bounty Hunters. And so now I've read the hat trick, the full trilogy, if you will. If you view them this way, I view them as like the episode 4 tie-in, the episode 5 tie-in, and then the episode 6 tie-in. Now, I know that I read them out of publication order because these two came out, this was the first one and this was the second one. Bounty Hunters was the last one to come out, I believe, but I read them in the order of the movies, 4, 5, 6. So it still works. They're their own separate stories. I actually got these a couple of years ago when Kevin J. Anderson was having a sale on his website. He said he had all 3 collections he was selling for however much it was, and he would sign them, and so he would ship them out, and so he actually did sign all of my copies, which was very nice of him. And I also got some of the authors and contributors to sign some of these as well. But what really bugs me, though, and this is very much a minor gripe, is that when you put them all together, the spines do not match. So you can tell what happened is that these two were printed probably around the same time, same type printing, whereas this is an older printing because A, it still says Bantam on it, and B, it doesn't have the Legends banner and stuff, but it still has the Legends timeline in the back, which is kind of weird. But so it kind of bugs me that on the shelf they're not going to match, but it's okay. It's okay. We're here to talk about the book itself, and how does the book itself stack up? And I have to say, it is very similar in quality to the Mos Eisley Cantina collection. There are some stories I liked, some stories I didn't like, some stories I thought were pretty mediocre. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to talk about some of the ones I really liked, and then, just kind of talk about my general thoughts on the collection. I much prefer Tales of the Bounty Hunters because I think that the novellas in here really work. The length of them. If these had all been novellas, 70, 80 pages, and really had honed in on the type of story that they're telling, focused less on being wacky and more on telling a really compelling story there, I think that these collections would have been better. So that's why this one worked so well for me. And there was a novella or two in here I didn't love, but the ones that I did love were great and took up so much space. So talking about this collection, Tales from Jabba's Palace. It starts off with 3 fantastic stories, and I was so excited. And then it goes a while before there's a great story. So the first story is about the Rancor Keeper, and it's one of the longer stories in the collection. It's by Kevin J. Anderson himself, and it talks about how the Rancor Keeper is summoned to help out with managing the Rancor, and they discuss how they captured the Rancor, how the Jawas captured it, which is fascinating. And then it really makes you empathize not only with the Rancor Keeper, Malakili, I think is his name, but it also makes you empathize with the Rancor itself. And it makes the fight all the more sad and makes you root for the Rancor in the fight against Luke. That is really clever work to make you root against Luke Skywalker in the collection, in the short story. So I really liked that. Then we had the story of Salacious Crumb, which is by Esther Frasner. She's the woman who wrote the Chicks and Chainmail series. And that story was kind of weird and silly. It was very silly, but it was fun. I really liked. It's about a professor at a university who's trying to get an interview with Jabba so that he can basically document Jabba. He wants to be a historian about Jabba the Hutt, but Salacious Crumb really just brings him on just so he can get a laugh and mess with Jabba. And that story was just so silly and fun, and I had fun reading that one. The third story is pretty pretty sad and depressing and dark. It's about Ula, and that's the dancer, the Twi'lek dancer, and you see from her perspective just how terrible her life is. You see her have an opportunity to escape. She doesn't exactly get to take it. You see how hard she's fighting back against the way Jabba's treating her, the defiance she has, and it makes, again, her story all the more sad from the movie. Then we had some short stories I didn't particularly care for, including the Mara Jade story. I thought that was just okay. I felt like it didn't add story. It added context to her character being there in Return of the Jedi, but it really made her feel shoehorned in, and just, it didn't add that much for me, so I was like, it's just kind of there. I'm a big Timothy Zahn fan, but I didn't love that story. We had a couple of other short stories in there that I didn't care for. Then you had the short story about Bib Fortuna. This is a weird short story, but it actually worked quite well, and it shows stuff with the Ba'omar monks, and it shows kind of the brain things that you see in the movie in the background, and really explains how those work and stuff, and gives Bib Fortuna quite the end in the book. I really enjoyed reading about that. You read about his machinations. There's so many people who are plotting against Jabba in this, particularly the Lady Valerian, who is a character who's not seen ever. She's just kind of mentioned. Actually, I guess I say back. She's seen in the short stories. She's not seen in the movie, unless I'm totally mistaking her. But she's not seen in the movie. But in the short stories, a lot of the people are hired by her because she's like another crime lord trying to go against Jabba. Although I do believe that this collection made Jabba's empire seem much smaller than the other Star Wars properties have. Made it seem like he was much more limited to this part of Tatooine as opposed to having a galactic, empire type thing that he was running, like his own thing in the Outer Rim. Anyway, I did like Bib Fortuna's story, which I believe was by M. Shane Bell. That one was a really excellent short story. Then you have to flip forward quite a few short stories that I thought were pretty mediocre or bad, which is sad because I'm one of my favorite authors ever. Dave Wolverton had a short story, and I did not particularly care for it, which I loved his novella in Tales to the Bounty Hunters. But anyway, you have to flip forward to the short story about Shara and the Sarlacc. And I am forgetting the writer of that particular short story, so I'm going to look it up really quick. That was by Daniel Danny Oakes. That short story was actually delightful. It was actually kind of... It felt tonally off but between how long it was and also just because of the tone the story struck. It actually didn't feel entirely in place in this collection. It actually felt like it would have been perfectly in place in the From a Certain Point of View books. If you've read those short story collections, those are the more recent ones that are 40 short stories, a lot of them, 40 short stories celebrating the 40th anniversary. And this short story about the Sharla and the Sarlacc, it seemed implausible and it seemed far-fetched, which is why it seemed like it was from the that collection instead. But it was a great short story. It was the short story that I was like, oh, that's really sweet. I really liked reading about that. That was really fun. It was more lighthearted. You knew the outcome of the story at the beginning of it because the character kind of told you what happened, and so I liked reading about how it occurred. Then you have the last short story in here that I liked was the Boba Fett short story. And I read somewhere that this short story actually had to be rewritten a lot, so the author didn't love it, which is why he went by a pen name. But I really thought it was delightful. It's about Boba Fett basically in the Sarlacc pit. And guess what? It's actually quite interesting and weird, but I kind of loved it. I thought that his conversation with not the Sarlacc was actually quite fun, and it gave some real depth and some great world building to the Sarlacc and the people it's swallowed and eaten and stuff. So I actually quite enjoyed that short story. Then you have the other there are 6 short stories in there that I really liked. The other 13 just didn't work for me. And that's an unfortunate batting average. I think that's the worst batting average of the trilogy. But I would say that the great short stories in this book are better than the great short stories in generally from Tales of Mos Eisley Cantina, so they kind of average out. So I gave the Mos Eisley Cantina about a 6 out of 10 overall. I'm going to give about the same to Tales of Jabba's Palace. It's not one of the best Star Wars books I've read by a long shot, but it's fine. You know, if you're a short story fan, you'll probably enjoy it. There's certain to be one short story in here that will connect with you, but you are unlikely to enjoy all of the short stories, and they just don't have as great a batting average. I'm still holding my favorite of the trilogy is Tales of the Bounty Hunters. I still have 2 more short story collections from the Legends timeline to do: Tales of the Empire and Tales of the New Republic. I actually think I'm going to like those better than these ones because of the subject matter. I think focusing on Empire v. Rebellion is going to be more intriguing to me than, say, the background characters from the Cantina or from the Bounty Hunters or from the Jabba's Palace. I will say that seeing the scenes from the movies over and over and over again does get kind of tiring. I'm like, I don't want to see the stuff with the droids or with Luke or with Leia or with, like, this one at least felt like there was more variety because the Jabba's Palace sequence is longer than the Mos Eisley Cantina sequence, so it didn't feel like I was seeing the exact same scene over and over. It felt like I was seeing sequences from the movie constantly, and because it's so long, it was just different points of the movie. So I felt a little better, at least. Tales of the Bounty Hunters only has 5 stories, so you only get to see this perspective 5 times, but it still works. So that's my review of Tales from Jabba's Palace. Not a tremendous book, not a bad book. It's fine. It's okay. It's a 6 out of 10. It's admirable. Some good stories, some bad stories. If you've read this, let me know which story was your favorite, which stories were your least favorite. What do you think of my opinion of the book overall? And until next, tell me which short story collection or novella collection was your favorite in the Legends timeline. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.